All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Quentin, and today I will be discussing fishery acoustics on Saildrone uncrewed surface vehicles. For the past month, I have been involved with a mission between two different NOAA line offices. The Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory, located in Seattle, Washington, at the Western Regional Center, and the Pacific Islands Fisheries Science Center, located at the Inoue Regional Center in Honolulu, which is where I did my internship this summer. Between the two entities, we focused on collecting data on ocean atmospheric interactions and environmental effects on pelagic organisms and the central equatorial Pacific Ocean. Regions such as the central equatorial Pacific are very remote and vast. This means it's hard to collect data on surface data in these regions. One approach to this problem is to utilize uncrewed surface vehicles, such as the Saildrone that you see here. Next is the objective of my internship. So my specific objective is to evaluate the use of Saildrones for collecting backscatter data of pelagic organisms in the water column to inform ecosystem-based fisheries management. Some of you might not be familiar with what a Saildrone is, so I would like to quickly talk about that. Saildrones are one type of uncrewed surface vehicle that are manufactured and deployed by Saildrone, which is a company based in California. They run on a business model where they sell the data collected by the Saildrones to customers. The partnership between NOAA and Saildrone is an example of a public-private partnership. And these Saildrones go at like the cost of like $2,500 per day, if anyone's interested. For this mission, we are using the Saildrone Explorer, which is the smallest Saildrone uncrewed surface vehicle available. They are approximately 23 feet long and are wind powered and have solar powered sensors. So it's all renewable energy. Each Saildrone is equipped with a suite of a variety of sensors to collect data. For example, the surveyor usually has 3 acoustic sensors, 4 atmospheric sensors, and 5 oceanic sensors. On the 22nd of June, 2023, 3 Saildrone uncrewed surface vehicles were deployed from Honolulu Harbor in Hawaii. Saildrone 33, Saildrone 30, and Saildrone 79. Each Saildrone is equipped with a standard suite of oceanic and atmospheric sensors, but only one of them is equipped with the acoustic payload. The Saildrones are currently in the remote central equatorial Pacific, near the exclusive economic zone of Kiribati. This is for a 120-day mission, so it won't be over until the end of October or early November. We are utilizing an adaptive sampling approach to assess air-sea interactions, surface CO2 fluxes, ocean currents, and backscatter data, which is what I would like to talk about next. If you don't know what backscatter is a reflection of sound waves in the surface of the water column. So this could be anything, like a fish, a crustacean, a whale, submarine. This is measured using sound waves at different frequencies. Here we can see a high frequency and a low frequency sound waves. And frequencies are essentially the number of wavelengths per second. To measure backscatter, we utilize kilohertz as our base unit, and this typically ranges from 18 to 200 kilohertz frequencies for fishery acoustics. The important thing to know about this is the lower the frequency, the deeper in the water column the backscatter will go. For example, if we're using a 200 kilohertz frequency, we could see that it only goes to the shallower depths, while a 38 kilohertz frequency will go much deeper in the water column. To look at organisms, essentially each organism has a resonance frequency, This is the frequency at which organisms interact most strongly with a specific frequency. This could be influenced by the body shape of an organism, size, and the orientation in the water column. Additionally, other factors, such as the presence of a gas bladder, can influence this. For example, if we're looking at micronecton fish, they dominate the 38 kilohertz frequency because that's commonly what we see with gas bladders. For this mission, our approach is to use 38 and 200 kilohertz frequencies down to 1,000 meters in depth. To do this, we use a device called an echo sounder. An echo sounder is comprised of two different components, a transceiver and a transducer. The transducer sends acoustic frequencies into the water column and also collects them back. What we get is an echogram that looks like this. Now, this may look confusing at first, but I'll explain it. And this is also a screenshot from our mission portal. We currently have access to the low quality data, not the high quality data that we will get back at the end of the mission. So this is kind of like the live view that we have in the mission portal. The x-axis on this echogram shows time. For this specific one, we are looking at time between the 3rd and the 8th of July at 5-minute intervals. You can also see it's labeled with the night and day intervals, which will be important in just a second. The y-axis is the depth. We are looking at a depth from 5 to 1,000 meters. The pixels on this echogram represent the density of organisms. This is measured in decibels, which essentially is proportional to density in the water column. We could see that the red pixels represent very high density of organisms. Moderate density can be shown as the green and yellow. And then low density and background noise is the blue, gray, and white. From this echogram, we could see the daily vertical migrations of micronectonic organisms. Near the surface, we could see these clusters of green, yellow, and red pixels. This is the micronecton gathered in the epipelagic zone, which is the upper 200 meters in the water column at night. And during the daytime, we could see that they're gathered in the mesopelagic zone, which is the lower 200 to 1,000 meters in depth. This is just another picture to show the diversity of micronecton organisms. They comprise of fish, crustaceans, and many other organisms. Micronecton are marine organisms between 2 and 20 centimeters in length, and they make up a substantial portion of biomass in the pelagic regions of the ocean. These are just some additional pictures of the fish. Micronecton daily vertical migrations are important for nutrient cycling and carbon transport between the epipelagic and the mesopelagic depths. They're also very important for forage for economically important fish species and protected species, which is why we care about them on the fishery side. The next steps in my project, we currently don't have access to the high quality data until late October or November. So once we do, we plan to process the acoustic data to assess the relative biomass of all pelagic organisms in the water column. And with micronecton, we would like to assess how environmental variables influence their distribution, biomass, and composition. I would like to acknowledge the Noah Hauling Scholarship Program. Without that, I wouldn't be here right now. And I'd also like to acknowledge my mentors, everyone else who has helped me along the way. The Saildrone team, they've been working pretty closely with us. The faculty at the Noah Regional Center, and fellow Hauling scholars. And with that, I'm open to take any questions. Yep.
Nice presentation. Was there anything most interesting or surprising working with the Saildrone depth?
Honestly, like getting to see the daily vertical migrations on an echogram is pretty cool. We also have other graphs in the mission portal of the live data. For example, we can look at the currents, the temperature, and other oceanic atmospheric variables. So I think looking at all those is pretty cool and to see how they change over time.
Yeah, and I have some questions. So great job. I'm not familiar with at all with the sort of fishery science or the biology aspect here. So, where did this data set fit into our general understanding of sort of in situ observations of micronecton sort of transport? Like, what are we getting from this type of data that we wouldn't otherwise have access to?
With this data, we can survey more remote regions of the ocean. For example, usually we would look at micronecton with echo sounders on research vessels, but the cost of those can be very expensive. Like it's usually probably around $35,000 a day to operate a research vessel compared to sailor drones, which are only $2,500 a day. So yeah, with this, we're able to collect more data of micronecton in these regions, which can help improve our marine policies.
And just a quick follow-up.
Yeah.
Can you do a back of the envelope quality comparison between the sort of gold-plated option and the sail drone option?
Yeah, there's I mean, obviously there's not going to be the data quality is not going to be the same as with the ship, but this is just one approach that we could use to avoid gaps in important data that can improve fisheries.
Yeah, it was a great presentation, very smooth.
Thank you.
With regards to the sailor drone, I know it's a private business, so I know you're not really a representative, but how autonomous is it exactly? So it's definitely more cost effective than actually sending out an entire research vessel to do surveys and whatnot. But how much hand holding is needed to actually get the vessels out?
For this mission, they shipped the sail drones from California to Oahu. And from there, I think they just like calibrate the sensors before deploying them in the harbor. So if that answers your question.
Yeah, generally, I guess. I was just kind of curious, like how far away the technicians need to be to actually like submit it towards like a mission.
Yeah, these sail drones are remotely piloted. So I guess during the mission, I think that's the only thing that needs to be done.
So you really only need a small crew of people, maybe like 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, instead of an entire research.
Yeah, it doesn't need like a research crew the size of.
Nice. And do you know the data that they're collecting? Again, private business, so any open source, any like portals to the data that you're
There might be on the Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory website. That's where I looked at some of the data for like the longitude and latitude, but I'm not sure if it's always readily available.
And then last thing is, since you spend so much time working with them, is there like any other kind of follow-up projects that you would be interested in like kind of pursuing with
Oh
them?
yeah, I mean, I would be interested in working with any type of uncrewed surface vehicle. I just find them like really interesting, I guess.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.